Hello, everyone. Welcome to you all. My name is Lamine Fall. I'm a digital transformation expert, and I work for Expertise France as an IT coordinator in Dakar in the social protection sector. My experience is in formulation of IT strategy, IT master plan, deployment of IT systems, and change management in public organizations, particularly in the social protection sector in Senegal. Next slide, please. Okay. Allow me to outline today's agenda. We will first start welcoming you, presenting the organization rules, and saying some word about DCI. After that, then we will do a presentation of the panel. Then we will enter in the discussion. After that, we will have a question and answer session. And finally, we will conclude by closing remarks. For the housekeeping rules, you can ask a question in the Q&A box. You can share any comment or resource in the chat. We have simultaneous interpretation, which is available. Just select a language for the in the interpretation icon and on the control bar. Session will be recorded, and we assume that all the participants in the meeting consent to the recording, which will be available on the DCI websites and on the social protection websites for those who miss it and who want to see it. Digital convergence initiative. Most of you are familiar with the digital convergence initiative. It's a joint effort by USP, 20 members and non-members, government, development partner and private sector, who creating an harmonized and interoperable digital ecosystem for social protection. We believe that consensus-based system for interoperability will foster an ecosystem for innovation for solution provider to build products that are interoperable, easy to use, integrate, maintain, and scales. We believe that it can reduce time and cost. We believe that this initiative will enable program and country to mix and match different components for different suppliers. Finally, we believe that it will ensure that systems are future-proof by design. Next slide, please. Okay, this session, this webinar is a Talking Interoperability. It's a monthly dialogue series by the DCI to facilitate conversation about integrated and interoperable social protection information system across countries. In this session, we have one country, agency from one country, who present the system they design for their social protection for interoperability. This session permit us to address the major challenge they have to make interoperability. And finally, this session will permit to brainstorm on potential solution to remaining bottleneck. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay. This session will be we record this session, and you can have recording of past session available on the DCI website or in the social protection websites. Next slide, please. Okay, now I will introduce the speaker. For the presentation today, we have excuse me, Marwiz Abu Junaid, who is the presenter of the Social Protection System of Lebanon, and Alex Sebi Michael and Dr. Sreyas would be a discussion, and Janina Boss would be the moderating for the session. Let me now briefly introduce each speaker of this session. Next slide, please. Okay. Marie-Louise Abu Jawoud is the director of the National Poverty Targeting Project and the Emergency Social Safety Net Program at the presidency of the Council of Ministers. As an architect and urban planner, she's committing to bolstering social safety net. With a background in urban planning, she was directed project at World Bank and UNDP, emphasizing inclusive community development. His expertise lies in designing resilient structure and implementing policies that prioritize vulnerable population. Through innovative strategy and collaborative effort, she strived to create an environment and ensure the well-being and security for all citizens. Alex Sebi Michael is a MIS specialist and consultant in the National Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, single project coordination unit, and leads the development and the strengthening on the SNSOP MIS. With 17 years of experience in information technology, he has provided technical support to the operation of 5 humanitarian organizations across South Sudan. He is focused on the developing information system that meet the unique requirement for the government of South Sudan. Next slide, please. Dr. Surya is working as a scientist and project director at the Center for E-Government of Karnataka. He is currently implementing numerous states as well as national project and guarantee schemes in Karnataka. He served as a member secretary for the Data Government Working Group and has played a key role in shaping in Karnataka open data policy. He is a recipient of the prestigious Digital India Award 2022 and the 2 IBM Award from IBM India. Janina Voss has over 14 years experience working in development cooperation, mostly in the field of financial system development with a focus on inclusive insurance. Prior to joining DCI on April 2024, she was part the Access to Insurance Initiative team, and before that worked as financial system development advisor at GIZ for 5 years. And with that, let me hand it over to you, Janina. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lamine, for the introduction, and a warm welcome to everyone as well from my side to this webinar today. As Lamine said, my name is Janina Voss, and I'm very pleased to guide you as a moderator through this session today. We have a great list of speakers and discussants with us today, as you've just seen, and we are going to start with Marie-Louise, who will be giving us a comprehensive insight into the ESSN in Lebanon, followed by a discussion session where we will also hear a bit more about South Sudan. So just a quick note before I hand over to our speakers, we also have reserved a good amount of time at the end for your questions. So please do start entering them into the Q&A feature here in Zoom at the bottom of your screen. So yeah, without further ado, I think I can hand over now to Marie-Louise to speak about the Social Registry in Lebanon. Over to you.
Marie-Louise, I think you're on mute.
We can't hear you.
Sorry, I was on mute. Excuse me. Thank you, Janina. We will be presenting today the Lebanon Social Registry, the DAEM. DAEM in Arabic meaning support. And first of all, allow me to thank you for the opportunity to present today our registry system and to share our experience and also the challenges that we face during the implementation process. Next slide, please. Since 2019, a series of crises have inflicted profound challenges on our society, exacerbating poverty and vulnerability among the population. A multi-phased factor contributes to the exacerbation. First of all, the pre-existing vulnerability. Before the onset of these crises, our society already grappled with increased poverty and the lack of adaptive social safety net system. This pre-existing vulnerability laid the groundwork for deeper impact when crisis struck. The deterioration of social services, limited access, and poor quality of services have further exacerbated the situation, leading to the deterioration of human capital. This has impeded the ability of individuals and families to cope with economic shocks. The labor market challenges, poor labor market outcome have manifested in alarming statistics, a significant rise in inactivity, unemployment, and informality. The unemployment rate soared from 11% to 30%, while inactivity increased from 51% to 57% between 2018 and 2022. Moreover, informality surged from 55% to 62% over the same period, highlighting the precarious nature of unemployment. The third point is the urgent need for systemic reform. The current contributory system is fragmented and requires urgent reform to enhance equity and affordability. Without such reforms, the disparities in social protection will persist, further widening the gap between different segments of society. As of January 2022, an estimated 60% of the population engaged in the informal economy lacked any form of social protection, underscoring the pressing need for comprehensive and inclusive policy to address the increased poverty and vulnerability resulting from the cascading crisis. Next, please. On the population size in Lebanon, we have, it's hard to estimate the population size. World Bank estimate in 2022 around 5.5. We estimate around 6 million. Of which 25% are non-Lebanese. That on the technical infrastructure, we have power cuts in Lebanon, and the internet and electricity are not available to all. On the social protection, until December 2021, we have highly regressive efficiency and effectiveness challenges, a minimal government spending on social assistance. We have only one social safety net program. It was called the National Poverty Targeting Program that we called NPTP, and it was a donor-financed project. It was covering 1.5%, and we scale it up to 75,000 family over the past few years. NPTP will run out of resources by June 2024. That's why the government take the decision to do the migration from NPTP to ESSN, and it will be completed by the end of August 2024. Next, please. As of December 2021, significant development have taken place in the evolution of the social protection systems, with a focus on expanding coverage and ensuring efficient delivery amidst the lifting of subsidy. We had two main SP programs: the NPTP, that is financed by the donors, and also it's previously managed through a separate database. Okay, it will be now it's being integrated in the DAEM Social Registry, and we have the Emergency Social Safety Net, the ESSN. The ESSN was established in December 2021 with the aim of expanding the coverage and providing vital support to vulnerable population. Despite these advancements, several challenges persist with our social protection landscape. First of all, it is fragmented. We have a fragmented, ineffective, and inefficient labor market and social insurance program, limited regulatory framework and reach, hindering the scalability of initiatives, disconnect between social protection scheme and the evolving needs of the private sector, low coverage and fragmentation within existing social insurance schemes, a labor regulation requiring greater flexibility to adapt to changing circumstances. Addressing these challenges is essential to ensuring the effectiveness and sustainability of the social protection systems. The establishment of the ESSN represents a significant step forward in enhancing the social protection infrastructure. Financed by the World Bank, the ESSN not only provides crucial support to beneficiaries, but also serves as a model for efficient program delivery and management. Moving forward, concerted efforts are needed to overcome remaining challenges and build a more inclusive and resilient social protection framework. Next, please. Just to show you a small progress on the ESSN. The ESSN started, we launched the registration on December 1, 2021. It was launched for only 2 months, ending January 31. 583,000 families registered on DAEM Social Registry, and around when we put when they screened the initial screening of the ESSN, around 250,000 households met the initial ESSN criteria. We launched after 17 days after the end of the registration. We launched the verification. With technical assistance from WFP, we started the visit for around 200 households. And in March 18, less than 1 month, we start the payment. We start the payment gradually. Okay, and to date, we have 93,600 households are receiving payment every month. Next, please. Just to give you an idea about the component of the project, we have 4 components in the project. The first project, the original financing was an amount of $250 million, and we received an additional financing of $300 million. For the first component, which is the cash transfer for basic income support, the targeted was 105,000 extreme poor for 1 year in the first ESSN. To date, we have 93,600 beneficiaries. Under ESSN 2, the target will be 160,000 households will receive cash transfer for an additional year. The amount of the assistance is $20 per household member, capped at 6, plus additional $25 per household. On the component 2, which is related to the education, it's a top-up cash transfer to reduce the dropout. On the ESSN 1, the target was 50,000 students, age between 13 and 18 years, from the ESSN beneficiary and enrolled in public school. To date, we have around 8,000 students who have received cash top-up, and under ESSN2 we'll have around 22,000 students who will benefit from this component. The amount of the assistance is $185 to $415 per student per school year, depending on grade and stream of education. It includes the registration, the textbook, uniform, and also the transportation during the school year. The component 3 is for the access to quality social services. In ESSN1, we were targeting 100,000 individual, and in ESSN2 we'll have around 400 individual are expected to benefit from this component. Component 4 is for the implementation. It's to implement, develop DAEM Social Registry, to contract the third-party monitoring, do the post-distribution monitoring, the audits, the cybersecurity assessment, and the project staff. Next, please. This slide outlined the step-by-step development and operational status of the DAEM Social Protection Information System, emphasizing the phased approach and technological standard, ensuring system robustness and security. We have three phases, if you want. The current operational module that intake already installed and working, developed and working. We have the intake and the registration, validation and eligibility, reporting, data analytics, public dashboard, back office, user interface. All the data are stored in a server hosted at OGERO. OGERO is it's a public institution within the Ministry of Telecommunication. The partially operational module is the payment administration. It will be developed in the phase of the development will be fully operated by the government and September 20, around the end of the year, but the development will be till the end of September 2024. The module that needs to be developed in the second phase of the ESSN, the central GRM, the link between the central GRM and the system, the training portal, case management, social services, generic social safety net program. Next, please. For this system, how to identify people has to have an ID to register. It's necessary to have the ID to apply to the ESSN. First, it was mandatory to have the national ID. We know that over 86% of the Lebanese population do have a national ID. But when we analyzed the application, we found that not all the registered to DAEM Social Registry have registered with a national ID. So in Lebanon, we have three types of ID. The national ID, who have a unique identifier, the passport, and a civil registry certificate. This civil registry certificate expires every 6 months. So there is no unique identifier. To cash out the money, if the head of the household do not have an ID, they can nominate a member aged 18 or older to cash out the assistance. Despite the existing of a national ID in Lebanon, none of the institutions in the country use it as a unique identifier in their database. Every institution has its own database. This result of lack of interoperability across the systems. Next, please. We have different steps to start with the registration till the end of the enrollment. First of all, before anything, the communication is really very important point to start with. So to inform the population about any social protection system, here it's the ESSN, about the eligibility criteria, about the benefit, and highlight the registration process and where to get more information. This can be done, this outreach in Lebanon, we did it through television, radio, social media, community meeting, poster, and flyer. And also, in the landing page, user can find a 1-minute video briefly explaining the different steps on DAEM and some frequently asked questions, and a hotline number which user can contact the team to ask questions, register complaint, and get the technical assistance. So once they know how to register, the registration is to be online. They have to create a user account, username, and the password. Okay, and when signing up, user enter the OTP they receive by SMS. Okay, and they fill the registration form with personal details, household information, and any other required data. They submitted on the system. There is no, they cannot download the information, nothing. They submit directly, goes through the system. The system checks if the applicant meets the basic inclusion criteria for the ESSNP, household member, female-headed household, elderly, disabled, children aged between 0 and 18. And if eligible, they can go for the visit. If not, they will receive an SMS saying that you are not that eligible for the visit. And then the system automatically checks for duplicate application within the DAEM registry that we call internal application, and cross-reference with the National Poverty Targeting Program that we call external deed application to prevent multiple registration. After the deed application and after the visit, they submit to the calculation, the computation. The system uses predefined algorithms to compute the poverty means testing score based on the information provided. Households are ranked based on their PMT score to identify the most in need. For us, the formula logic is placed in a website on a virtual machine. PCM can set the formula parameter on runtime, meaning that there is that the source code does not contain the parameter and the formula, the parameter of the formula, and these parameters are never stored on disk or database and are never written in logs. This is for the security and also for the privacy of the PMT calculation. Then household with score meeting the threshold are automatically enrolled in the ESSN. They are beneficiary are received confirmation via SMS, and they can cash out the money through the money transfer operator. They can collect they can go to the shops, the money transfer operator, and collect their beneficiary. All applicant, beneficiary, and non-beneficiary can submit grievance through a toll-free hotline. Each grievance is assigned a tracking number for follow-up. The system ensures timely resolution of grievance with automated update provided to the beneficiary. From registration to cash out, the entire process is managed by an automated system ensuring efficiency, transparency, and minimal human error. The fully automated journey through the SP delivery chain ensures that the process is efficient, transparent, providing timely and targeted support to those in need. Next, please. On the payment system, we know that the banking system in Lebanon is not fully operational. And the preferred method of payment for all the citizens is the cash right now. And the payment is via transfer operator. We have the DAEM Social Registry. We create the payment. We push it through the API into the WFE database. And then the WFE push it through the API to the Western Union, who notify the beneficiary, and they can go to the Western Union offices and cash out their benefit. With the support of the World Bank, the government will have at the end of this year, maybe this payment module fully operated by the government with a direct link to financial services. So we'll have, DAEM will be the main social registry and will be paying directly to people, and it will be government to people payment. Next, please. These slides explain the transition from NPTP to ESSN, detailing the technical processes and safeguards to ensure a seamless and efficient migration, ultimately aiming for a unified social safety net system. We know that by June, NPTP will run out of resources. So the government, we did some analysis, and the NPTP data analysts indicate that 93% of the NPTP beneficiaries are eligible for ESSNP. 65% of the NPTP beneficiaries belong to the poorest decile. 74% of NPTP beneficiaries were recently recertified. Based on the analysis, the government of Lebanon developed a roadmap for the migration of NPTP beneficiaries to ESSN in a phased approach process. It will be, we started the migration, it will end by August, and the NPTP beneficiary will be receiving assistance from ESSN starting September. The migration will lead to unification in program implementation, benefiting from the DAEM Social Registry, improved payment via digitalization, and improved benefit and service delivery. Next, please. This slide, on this slide, we will explain the migration from NPTP to ESSN. We have currently the NPTP currently operating manually. It will run out of fund. The NPTP pool will be migrated to ESSN via DAEM Social Registry. And moving forward, the aim is to establish a single safety net program. Currently, there is a deed application process. We spoke about it to ensure no overlap between NPTP and the SSNP. The enrollment only possible for one program. That on the technical migration procedure, we have it is through automated ETL processes. An auxiliary database will be established within Ojero data center to clean, extract, transform, and load the NPTP database to ESSN pool. This process will allow an iterative approach. On the social, now the DAEM Social Registry is used by Ministry of Education and also by the Ministry of Public Health. We hope that once we have the migration and we have the system fully operating from the registration till the cash out, all the other ministry related to social services will be linked somehow via API or use this kind of data to help them provide the assistance to most vulnerable people. Next. On the GRM, we start the GRM when we start the project in December 2021. We installed an active and well-functioning call center managed by the company developing DAEM at first and hosted under the central inspection. Now the GRM moved to Ministry of Social Affairs. It was planned to go live mid-May. We faced some issue. It will be operational at the end of this month, hopefully. All citizens can call a toll-free number. We categorize the complaint between household visits, on the payment modality, on the eligibility criteria, and then channels to the central management unit. If it's related to household visit, they go to the World Food Program who was doing the visit, and then all the system within 7 days, the complaint are addressed and people are informed about their complaint. Next, please. On the accountability and monitoring and transparency, the project, in addition to the strict data protection measure, the project employs the following monitoring and transparency measures deployed at multiple levels to ensure the highest level of transparency. We have the post-distribution monitoring. It includes conducting regular post-distribution and outcome monitoring with beneficiaries to track the desired outcome of the program, including how assistants help households meeting their needs. We contracted an independent third-party monitoring agent to audit the implementation, including the registration, eligibility, status of cash, and the accuracy of the amount. Next, please. Also, an external financial audit is hired to ensure financial operations are implemented as per the existing World Bank rules and regulation and the regulation. And the central management unit, which is responsible for the implementation, management of eligibility, determination of the eligibility payment process, also in close coordination with MOSA. A cybersecurity firm, independent organization to regularly implement vulnerability and cybersecurity assessment, the penetrations test, the black box, and all things related to the cybersecurity assessment. And finally, the World Bank close monitoring and supervision of project implementation and proceeding through regular engagement with stakeholder, technical assistance, and support mission. Next, please. On the gender aspect, the project identifies the need to ensure that female-headed households are able to access the cash transfer given vulnerability they faced. As per the inclusion rules, initial screening criteria of the project, female-headed households are among the defined socially vulnerable groups that are being prioritized for household visit post-application phase. The targeting mechanism also continued to include weighted criteria for female households, and the expansion of digital payment is expected to benefit women's access and overall financial inclusion. Another gender gap identified is the share of boys dropping out of secondary schools to engage in income-generating activity, which the financial incentive provided to households will address. MOSA and UN organization partnership to mainstream gender aspect, training on gender-based violence for social worker, gender study, and so on. The key issue and next step to ensure sustainability of the social safety net programs post the SSN, we need, first of all, we need to developing a comprehensive plan for the migration and PTP beneficiary to ESSN while ensuring a seamless transition and minimal disruption to their social safety net support. On the sustainability of SSN program after ESSNP runs out of the budget also, we have to look at it. And due to increased poverty and vulnerability, the coverage of the SSN program needs to further increase with a link to activation program. Activation programs, this means integrate activation into the SSN framework to promote self-reliance and economic empowerment among beneficiaries. This program can include skill training, job placement assistance, and entrepreneurship support. The financing part to be within a medium-term fiscal framework, whereby initial years government relies on external financing, grant loans, and gradually government fully finances the SSN. DAEM Social Registry link to education and health sector to be strengthened. We talk about, we already have the link with Ministry of Public Health. We have few things to do with the Ministry of Education. The government is utilizing DAEM Social Registry to implement a health subsidy program targeted the ESSNP through primary healthcare facilities. And finally, DAEM Social Registry to be further developed to DAEM SPIS with ESSNP funds. This is all from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marie-Louise, for this rich presentation and for sharing the insights into how you've built up the social registry in, I guess, a very short time and challenging circumstances as well. Thanks for that very much. Before we move into questions and discussions about what you've just presented, we are also very lucky to have Alex Sebit-Michael with us, as you've heard earlier today. And he is going to start off with giving us a short overview of the Productive Safety Net for Socioeconomic Opportunities project in South Sudan. So Alex, I'm going to hand over to you now for a short input before we go into a more in-depth discussion.
Thank you so much, Janina, and greetings to all participants. You are most welcome for this webinar. As already introduced, I'm called Alex Michael. I'm a specialist working in the Ministry of Agriculture in South Sudan. I'm very delighted to present the South Sudan Productive Safety Net for Socioeconomic Opportunities project. In short, is known as SNSOP. And locally, it's called Shabaga Maisha. Next, please. Yes. This is our journey in safety net. First, I would like to talk about the population of the country. South Sudan is a young nation.
Alex, I'm really sorry to interrupt you, but your audio is not very clear. I don't know if you're able to change your microphone settings.
Okay, let me remove and see if I can use the laptop. How is it now?
Much better, thank you.
Okay. Must put the audio to the. Is it now okay?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I didn't notice that. So South Sudan is a country with a small population. We are just around approximately 11 million people. And at the moment, we have only one safety net project, which is run by two ministries, the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security and Ministry of Gender, Child and Social Welfare. Our journey started into SafeNet, started in 2015 with the Safety Net and Skills Development Project, known as in short, it was called SNSDP. This project, we reached 163 households. That translates to 372, 141 individuals. The project ended in 2019, and in 2020, with South Sudan Safety Net Project, it is the triple SNP. So triple SNP ran from 2020 to 2023. We reached 65,000 households, which translates to 455,000 individuals. In 2021, while we are still experiencing effects of COVID-19, South Sudan was also infested by desert locusts. So in order to support the vulnerable people, the project called Emergency Locust Response Project, which is ELRP, was initiated, and it reached 48,300 households. That is equivalent to 338,100 individuals. Then currently we are running the productive safety net for socioeconomic opportunities, which is SNSOP. So as you can see that we have been progressing, although small by small, but you can see that there's an increase in the number of beneficiaries reached. These are poor and vulnerable people. We started with around 3.4% of the population, and right now we are at 10% over a period of 9 years. Next. So in South Sudan, most of our information systems are under development. The Social Registry is still in the planning phase. So it will be, the institution responsible for that will be the Ministry of Gender, Child and Social Welfare. The grievance redress platform is also under development. It is part of the essence of MIS under the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security and Ministry of Gender, Child and Social Welfare. We also have the civil registry system. It is also under development, and it is being managed by the Ministry of Interior and Ministry of Information. Next, please. Here, on this slide, I will talk about the MIS for SNSOP, which is also the Sabaga Maisa. The technology is basic. As you can see, we have the database and we have a web server interlinked by APIs. So the user CSS, HTML, italic web component is a user interface model, then JavaScript. And then in the back end, we use the C# programming and .NET framework and .NET Core, mostly to do the APIs. And then the database runs on SQL Server 2019. It is interacted. The interaction between the database server uses the transact SQL. The essence of MIS addresses the following business processes, which are including but not limited to the eligibility checking, initial registration, and grievance redress, payment, enrollment. In enrollment, we enroll people into two aspects of the project, which is direct income support and labor-intensive public work. We manage the databases, case management, and monitoring and evaluation. Next, please. We have so many challenges. The challenges are very tough, but we're still on them. One of the challenges is related to organizational and policy. As you all know, for everything to work, there must be a strong policies. But the social protection policy framework is out of date. There's lack of coordination on system interoperability, and also we have organizational barriers as partners operating in silos. However, to address all these challenges, we're putting a lot of effort together. First, we are revising the social protection framework policy, and now we have strengthened partners and coordination among partners. We established the MIS technical working group to address the issue. We have issues related. We have issues related to data protection and privacy concern. This issue, we are addressing it by coordinating support, partner support to the government. We have issues of scalability and performance to accommodate a growing data volume. As you all know that this challenge is very difficult to address. And then we have also technical challenges, including incompatibility, uncoordinated partner MISs, diverse platform and systems, lack of data sharing standards and formats. And the solution that we have put for this one is strengthened partner coordination, and we have established the MIS technical working group, where we discuss how we can solve all these challenges. Next, please. So our future roadmap for this, for the MIS, essence of MIS, to meet interoperability capabilities include the following. Right now, the program MIS, which is the essence of MIS, is being strengthened. By strengthening it and expanding it, enhancing it based on the lessons learned over the years. Government on the social registry agenda, So right now, there's a continuous work going on to establish the social registry. The National Social Protection Policy Framework is now under review, and stakeholder capacity is now being built. And we are also mapping out the MIS. Next, please. Shukran. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alex, for this overview, and very interesting also the challenges you shared with us in this brief presentation, and certainly worth exploring more as well. So I would encourage everyone to also put your questions to Alex in the Q&A as well, and we will get to that later. And I can see already a lot of interesting questions coming up, and Marie-Louise has also started putting some answers into the Q&A function as well. So thank you already here. So now moving on to our discussion, and against the backdrop of what you've just told us about South Sudan, Alex, maybe do you want to start to kick us off with some questions from your side to Marie-Louise on what she presented on Lebanon?
Yes, please. I would like to first of all know how Marie and his Lebanon, her Lebanon teams in Lebanon handling the power and let me say infrastructure challenges, which include the lack of internet and power. So this is my first question, and maybe I will do other follow-up questions. Over.
Okay. On this one, the Ojero system, we have we said that we have the institution, the public institution within the Ministry of Telecommunication, Ojero, who host all the databases and server, and it is the institute, and Ojero is equipped with private power engine, and whenever it's we have a power cuts, in Ojero we don't have this kind of power cuts. So the database is stored in a place in an environment where everything is fully how we say it secure, and there is no cut in the power. But for the applicant, yes, they may face sometimes. We know that we have power cuts in Lebanon. Whenever we have internet disruption or power disruption, they cannot access the system. But whenever the power will come again, and then they can connect. And for submitting, we face this during the household visit. So we provide, and the system, we provide an offline registration. They can, for the visit, for example, the social worker can go and fill the form offline, and then whenever there is a power, they directly submit it, and it goes to the server. I don't know if I replied to your answer.
Yes, thank you so much. The answer is satisfactory.
Thank you. Alex, do you want to maybe go ahead with the second question before we move to our second discussant?
Yes, thank you so much. My second question is related to the DAEM. How does the DAEM, how does the ISEN handle the inclusion of vulnerable groups, particularly female-headed households and children at risk of dropping out of school?
Sorry, I didn't get the first part of the question.
The question is about how do you handle inclusion of vulnerable groups, including particularly the female-headed households, and then the children at risk of dropping out of school?
Yes, we have in the inclusion criteria that we set automatically. It is automated within the system. Whenever we have a female-headed household, automatically the application is eligible for visit. The same will apply for. We have 4 criteria. First of all, female-headed household, children between at least 1 children below 18, at least 1 elderly above 64. And at least 1 member with severe disability. So these are the 4 criteria of inclusion. So we prioritizing the female-headed household and also the boys and girls below 18.
Thanks, Marie-Louise. Does that answer your question, Alex?
Yeah, it answered very well. Thank you so much.
Perfect. I also see that there was a similar question on eligibility criteria in the Q&A, so I guess we've covered that as well. So thanks for that.
Can I add on this? We have two
Yes.
kinds of criteria, 2 sets of criteria, if you want. We have the first criteria, the affluent test, for whenever people are well off. For example, if they have cars with a certain model 2017, for example, and the new cars, if they have someone helping them in the house, or if not for a sick person or whatever, if there is a helper at house, if they are if they were abroad for more than 6 months, all these kind of affluent tests. And then after that, we did the initial screening of the 4 category of the initial ESSN inclusion.
Thanks for that clarification. So maybe it's time to draw in our second discussant for today as well. So we also have with us Dr. Srivyas from Karnataka. He's a project director at the Center for E-Governance. So welcome to you again as well. And maybe you want to come in with some questions from your side.
Thank you, Janina, and Mary, thanks for the presentation. So my first question would be, comprehensive coverage is very crucial in any social registry. So how is this achieved in Lebanon? So is there any nationwide surveys done in your country? Like in India, we do socio-economic caste census. So by then we will come to know that the big picture, comprehensive numbers. So how it is handled in Lebanon?
Sorry, can you repeat? Didn't get it, please?
Yeah. So I understand the registration happens on a voluntary basis, right? So what is the coverage of social registry? What is the percentage of people covered in the social registry? So is it clear?
Yeah, until now we have the extreme. We're covering the extreme poor. Okay, we have a score for the extreme vulnerable people. We're covering right now. We're covering around 22% of the population with the NPTP and the ESSN. Okay.
Okay. My next question is there any nationwide survey like in India we do? Yeah.
Yeah, in Lebanon, no, there is no national survey. People come to for the NPTP. People come to the social development center and ask for help, and then they apply, and the social worker will go and visit, fill a questionnaire. But it's not on a national level. They self-register. They came to the SDCs on the NPTP because it was manual, and then on the ESSN they fill the form online. Did I answer your question?
Yeah. Thank you, Mary. So when it happens on a voluntary basis, the registration, how do you validate those registrations? And how do you keep those registrations current across systems?
We do once they register, there is a form online, they register online. Okay, we do the affluent test and the initial ESSN criteria, and then they go and the social workers will go to visit them. They fill a questionnaire. Okay, they apply it, and we do the computation. Okay, and we have all these information registered and stored in our database. Did I answer your question? Or Fateh,
I can come in, Melody. So let me quickly introduce myself. So my name is Fatih Ortakaya. I'm a senior social protection specialist with the World Bank. I'm task team leader of emergency social safety net. I'm supporting government of Lebanon to implement the project. So first of all, this is a demand-based program. For in order anybody to apply and benefit from the program, there is a registration exercise. And as Marie-Louise explained during the presentation, government launched, this is an emergency program. I think we all need to consider that factor. And it was right after the COVID, it was a response. And that's why everything has to be done in an emergency manner. So the Marie-Louise, I believe she didn't mention those parts, but the whole system is established. It is like an open source solutions. It's a fully customized architecture. You know, usually in any software development, it takes a longer time to establish a proper system if you want to use a customized architecture. So once government started working on it, it was around like September. And in December, from September to December, government completed a module and opened up an online registration for anyone. So technically, whether you have a phone or not, doesn't matter. You go somewhere, wherever there's an electricity and internet, you register. If you can't register for yourself, you just get help from your neighbors, from anyone that you can help. So within 2 months of time, government managed to register 583,000 households. And after the deed application, this number decreased around 465,000, which roughly covers around 45 to 50% of the population. Given that we are still unsure about the population figures, right? It's a bit tricky because the last census was done in 2012, right? If I'm not mistaken. So regarding your question, is there like any, let's say, population sensitive approach? People go from one door. That is not the case in Lebanon. It's a, let's say, a very weak capacity in terms of many things. We are talking about, you know, lack of electricity, lack of internet. So the latest survey was done in 2012. And most recently, with the support from the World Bank and other UN organizations, government did another survey, Lebanon Household Survey. But this is not to, let's say, to populate the social registry. This is basically to understand the vulnerabilities in the population. That will help updating the eligibility criteria in the program. So there are many questions in the chat. I'm not sure if we should respond them all, or maybe we should give time to first to discussants. And if it's needed, I'm happy to come in again. Over to you.
Thanks, Fatih. Thanks very much for the clarification. I think we will try to come to some, well, we will definitely come to a lot of the questions in the chat, and I can also see that we are covering some of them in the discussion now. So I would like to give a few minutes to our discussants to come in with their questions first before we go over to answering the audience's question. So Alex, I don't know if do you want to come in maybe with another question from your side?
Yes, Janina. The discussion from Marie was very interesting. I will ask questions all day because there's so many interesting things. I'm still interested to know the primary challenges Marie and the team they faced when transitioning from the National Poverty Targeting Program to the Emergency Social Safety Net program.
First of all, we have to align both programs. We know that both have the same questionnaire. So whenever you go and fill the visit, you will fill through the same questionnaire for the ESSN and the NPTP. They have different scores. during the same formula, but a different score. We align same scores, and now we're aligning the format of the tables in order to do the migration. But in the ES and the NPTP. The NPTP, as I said, there is people go to the Social Development Center on the ESSN, they register directly online. So there is also this kind of interaction with the people in person. And we know that we have a lot of illiterate household families. So in the next registration, we're aiming to have this kind of hybrid process. Well, they can go to the social center, seek for help, and they can the social workers can help them fill the questionnaire. And if they can, they have access to the online registration, they can directly register online. These are the main challenges. Also the assistance, we have the same, we align the same assistance, the package for the families also.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, you have really answered the questions as I expected. I wonder if I can still continue to disturb you with the questions.
Maybe I can just come in with a few points that were mentioned in the Q&A, because I think they might fit to what you've just mentioned. There were a few questions from people on the ID system and the deduplication. So one question from the chat from Wanza was, you mentioned that not all applicants have the national ID. So which criteria or identifiers are used by the deduplication algorithm to flag duplicates?
On the deduplication, we use the full name, the name, father name, the last name, and also we use sometimes the mother name, the full mother name, and the date of birth, because we don't have the unique identifier number. So these are the main field that we use in the deduplication. Okay, and sometimes we have similar names. That's why we go to the mother name to be able to really identify the member. Want to come in, Fateh, on this?
I think you covered it well, Madhuli. So there's also a question regarding the national ID. So our meetings with Ministry of Interior, what we learned from there is the coverage reaches around 86% of the population, which is a really good number. But we all need to keep in mind that none of the government institutions in Lebanon, they utilize national ID. So if you go to, let's say the central bank, then there's a banking ID. If you go to Ministry of Education, there's a student ID. Because of political sensitivities, the national ID is not interoperable with any government organization. This is the first program, emergency social safety net, in the country that use national ID, that ask people to provide national ID if they have national ID. If they don't have a national ID, they ask for other documents such as passport, or Maria-Louise can say the name. I cannot tell it in Arabic. What was the name exactly, Maria-Louise? Ikhraj aid.
Ikhraj aid, yes.
That was the right pronunciation. So you provide this information, and then system creates, system technically uses the national ID for those who have national ID. For those who don't have national ID, it uses passport number. So this is the way, but if we didn't technically ask people if they don't have these, they still were able to register. But if they want to receive benefit, they need to provide a valid ID, because that's how it works. We are hoping that with the establishment of the social registry, other organizations will be able to benefit from there. So regarding the deed application, there is an internal deed application, which basically checks every single individual between households using, as Maria-Louise mentioned, name, surname, father's name, date of birth, and a few other indicators. And there is also an external deed application, as Maria-Louise mentioned during his presentation, the Donor Finance Program, NPTP. There was a deed application, but As NPTP will be running out of resources by June, so the intention is to migrate the full pool of NPTP beneficiaries, which makes 75,000 households, to ESSMP, meaning they are going to have a single program. Because NPTP doesn't have, let's say, a registry system. It runs fully manual operations. There's only a database, but DAEM is like a fully fledged social registry, which has the functionalities of the registration, eligibility assessment, creating payment lists, and with, as Mario is mentioned, with the further development of the platform, it will be able to deliver benefits to the beneficiaries directly without the need to any intermediary organization. That is the intention. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Fatih, for the additional explanation. There's also a question related to identification to Alex, actually, and it came in French, so I apologize in advance if the translation is not fully correct. But so Alex, how is the data processed from collection to final validation of households, and what allows you to detect duplicates in the case of South Sudan, of what you've presented?
Yes, Janina, thank you so much. Ours is not really difficult. Registration is biometric. So we go to the field and register our beneficiaries using the biometric gadget, which has a registration app. So this data from the mobile devices will be uploaded to the biometric server, which has a software called AFIS. So the AFIS runs and identifies all the duplicate fingerprints. And then we do authentication to see whether the duplicates are right. And then the data is loaded into the MIS. And then in the MIS, that's where the business processes are done, including the sub-projects and labor-intensive public work, and the vulnerable, poor and vulnerable people who cannot do any kind of labor-intensive public work are qualified for direct income support. And then there's a wage request generation in the system. Once the wage request is generated, and then the beneficiaries are paid. I hope it answers both questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. Dr. Srivyas, would you like to come in with the next question?
Yeah. Yes, Janina, I would like to know, like, is there any systematic approach to identify the poor in your database, I mean, in the registry? What is the approach you follow to identify the poor? You know, something like a needy or a score ranking. Do you follow any such approach in the registry? Just trying to understand.
We're following the proxy means testing formula that we call the PMT. We score the application, and then we have a cutoff score, and whoever are below the score are the most vulnerable. We have them in deciles, so we have the 10th decile, 20 deciles, and so on. Did I answer your question?
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Alex and Dr. Srivyas, maybe you want to come in with a last question from your side while I'm just screening through the Q&A, because there are a lot of questions and I want to make sure we have enough time to cover those as well. So maybe you can come in with the last question before I turn to the audience ones.
Maybe I can go first, or Doctor, do you want to come first?
We can go ahead, please.
Thanks for the opportunity. Well, maybe let's say my last question is about we want really to tap into the experience of DAEM, and I would like to ask Marie about what experiences from the DAEM Social Registry can be applied to other countries facing similar challenges. I know you addressed most of the challenges, but it will be good to put it to us also so that we can understand how we can navigate through some of those experience and lessons learned. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. First of all, I hope the other country will not run into emergency like us. We were developing the system, and in 2 months we were dispersing the money. So developing the process, the system and the process, the modules, and dispersing. So it's good to have at first have the time to develop all the modules, to test them, and also first of all to have a unique identifier. So this is the best way to avoid all these kind of duplication. We can avoid a lot having one unique identifier, and also have the time to test the project, because during the implementation, we were developing and implementing the project. We faced a lot of errors, bugs, and we addressed them in a timely manner. But it's good to have the time to develop such programs, because these programs are really, if you want a fully automated system, you have to have time to develop all these modules, and you have also to first of all to have the communication at first, outreach communication campaign, then a GRM, the grievance redress mechanism, where people can come and complain about the system. This is all. Have electricity all day, no internet disruption. I don't know. Did I answer?
You answered very well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Dr. Shrivas, you want to?
Yeah, thanks, Janaina. One last question to South Sudan. I think Alex can answer this. Just wanted to know, what is the common identifier you have used in the South Sudan Social Registry? So how do you manage deduplication? Or, how do you, what is there any national ID kind of thing is adopted?
Thank you so much, Dr. Sharis. Our MIS is not yet in interoperability with the other systems. We only have one system, so that system generates all the unique IDs. So for now, we use the system-generated unique IDs. South Sudan has national IDs, but we are not really using it for this program yet. We're still developing the program, and in future, once it is fully developed, and then we can integrate it with the national ID system. And then maybe that time we will be using the national ID numbers. But for now, we are using the system-generated numbers. Thank you.
Thank you for the response. Janaina, if you agree, I'll ask one question to both of them. Yeah. So,
yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. How do you, interoperability is a big challenge, even in India, when we manage the masters, like location masters, gender, and date of birth are maintained differently in different databases. How do you handle such kind of things in case if you are handling interoperability in your thing? What is your plan to handle it? For example, date of birth is maintained in some departments as DD, MM, YY, YY, or somebody will maintain MM, DD, YY. So do you face such kind of challenges even in your department databases in your country?
You want me to come in? Or for India? Do you want me to
Yes,
start?
please go ahead.
Okay.
Yes, please go ahead.
For us, we don't have this kind of, for the database, for date of birth, we have the same, we use all the institutions use the same date of birth. We are using also we're using this, we're trying to have the names are written in Arabic, and when you write the name in Arabic, there's multiple way to write it. So we also write the name in English. And what we are doing right now is to build, to enforce people to get the national ID and to register with the national ID. When we start the program, we went to the Ministry of Interior because they have all they have the unique number for all the citizens in Lebanon who have the national ID. And we asked them to have this kind of interaction to build the API. We know in Lebanon we have, as Fatih mentioned, we have political sensitivity. The problem, once you build the trust, and this is what we are doing right now, building the trust on DAEM, and we already have this kind, it start to build it. So we have the Ministry of Health linking, using the DAEM database, and also the Ministry of Education. As we said in French, petit à petit, we're building the trust, and then moving forward, we'll be using the national ID, unique identifier. Now, the date of birth, the names are the only ways to deduplicate and to if you want, once you have these kind of two data sets to try to deduplicate the data. Over.
Thank you so much, Maria. Thank you so much.
Alex, do you also want to? I think the question was to both of you. Is there anything you want to add?
Well, yeah, thank you so much. It's a good question. For us, we really do not have those kinds of challenges because our data first goes to the Office server, and from the Office server, then the beneficiaries are enrolled into the MIS. So the data standards like the or the YY right now is really not in our system. I hope I answered.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Janine. I can continue. Yeah.
Thank you very much for the discussion so far. So let's turn to some more questions that we have in the Q&A from the audience. There are a couple of questions related to payments. So maybe I start with that because we haven't really talked about that so far. One of them is if you require beneficiaries to do an online registration, which requires them to enter an OTP for sign-in, this means they need a mobile phone. So why are you not considering payments via mobile accounts instead of going to a bank or cash out, Marie-Louise?
Well, in Lebanon, as I mentioned in the presentation, that there is no fully operational banking system right now, and people prefer to cash out the money directly from the MTOs. And yes, the SMS are sent through they have to have a mobile phone to receive the SMS, and they go with MTCN and their name and the amount of the assistant, they cash it out. And the new, when we will finalize the payment system, we will have this kind of assistant, the banking system. If people would like to have their assistant in the bank, an account in the bank, or through a wallet, a mobile wallet, or through a MTO if they want to cash it out. So they will have, actually we have only this services. We're contracting WFP, who contracts the Western Union to do the disbursement of the cash out. So, but definitely we'll have different ways to and different channel to disperse the money.
Thank you. Yeah, that was very clear. Also related to this, there's another question on the information flows. And on one of the slides, you showed that there was a one-way connection between DAEM and the WFP and Western Union. Are there also plans to for bi-directional flows in the other way around, for example, to update data or use sort of the both directions of information?
Yeah, this is yes, exactly, and we have it right now. For example, once people go to the MTOs and collect their money, we're notified through the system that they were paid. So we have this flow of information, and once we will have the system will operate the module of payment, we will have directly through the links with the financial provider. We will have this kind of flow of information. We push the list and then we get back. They will answer back if the assistance were redeemed or cancelled or whatever status of the assistance. So definitely there is this kind of aller retour, but once we will deploy our payment, it will be easier and faster.
Thank you for that. There's also one question I think is quite interesting on the risks that you are seeing or that you are foreseeing maybe from this full automation from registration through to payment. What kind of risks do you see, and maybe also from your side? But have you also got any feedback from the population on that digitalization process? And maybe that's a question that would be interesting for Alex as well, if you've seen any risks from your side. But maybe first to you, Louise.
Well, what we are doing right now is a cost distribution monitoring. We are also monitoring the disbursement. We will contract people to do the monitoring on the MTOs, on the cash provided, the financial services. I don't know exactly because we don't have all the system. The book is not yet closed. The risk will be the disruption, the power cuts. We may have a risk in the power cuts. Sometimes when you push information and you have a power cut, we may lose some info. But we can address these kind of issues. Other than this, well, I don't have any idea right now on this. But Fatih, can you comment on this?
Yes, I think there is a bigger risk of not automating things in Lebanon. So without it, everything needs to go through without the human interaction because of the political sensitivity. So when government started thinking of establishing a systems, usually, there are some ready-made solutions, but they keep data outside of the Lebanon. So that was the first thing. And that's why this is a unique case, everything cooked within the Lebanon. So government hired a private company worked together with the government. They work on technical workflows, business needs. While they are working, at the same time they are developing, it's a beta test. We didn't have a chance to do any testing, right? So everything has to be done quickly. And as you may have heard from also from the press, so there are always challenging accusations to the government of taking the data somewhere else. So the risk is much bigger from our perspective to not the auto. So to basically avoid as much as possible the human interaction. That's why Manuel has mentioned that two institutions are working together. Data is hosted at country's National Telecom Authority, which is the first one, by the way, and it is utilizing the National Telecom Authority's data center, which is also a good point because you technically use everything within the country, and then proxy means testing calculation is done through PCM, by Louise, but it's pushed to a virtual machine, so nobody sees, even the software developers, they don't have an access to beneficiary profiles. They don't have an access to PMT scores, the cutoff scores, the proxies. They don't have an access. So everything's going fluidly within the system. So the access to data center is distributed between a couple of parties, and nobody has a direct access to database. I know this sounds a bit oversensitive, but given the situation and what's going on in Lebanon, this was one of the best solutions that government came up with. So I think it's a really very, let's say, it's a good solution, and there are many learned lessons when you compare to many other countries who are facing similar challenges. I think it's a good solution. I hope this is an answer to your question.
Thank you. No, I think that's very, very helpful. Thanks for coming in as well. Alex, is there anything you want to add from your perspective regarding the risks of automating processes? Or would you agree with Fatih on the risk of not automating?
Okay, fine. I think automation is all what we are all going to. With the time, everything will be automated. However, like for our case right now, maybe the risk that we might be undergoing is that we do not have dedicated data centers. Our systems are running, they're outsourced, they're running in the cloud, so which means we do not have enough control, but we are just managing and making sure everything goes as planned. So we embrace automation. Definitely, with the time, everything will be automated. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. There is a question again linked to the coverage of the program, but now looking more at refugees. So the question is: are refugees and IDPs included in the social registry, and how do you identify them, and what's the percentage of forcibly displaced persons covered? Marie-Louise, can you address that question?
Our program is targeting only the Lebanese household family, not the displaced or the refugees. So it's purely for the Lebanese household. Okay.
Thank you. There were also a couple of questions I saw, and I think we've covered that a little bit, but just to clarify, because I see a few of those here on the use of cell phones. Understanding that people need a mobile phone to register online, but I think you mentioned earlier that people could also ask others to support them in registering, right? So it's not a prerequisite for registering that you own your own mobile phone, and it's not one of the questions is also whether people are provided with a mobile phone, but that's not part of the program, I understand. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so I think we have that covered as well. Also on the registration process, is there a difference? Let me just go to the question so I make sure I'm reading it correctly. Is there a different form for online and in-person registration, or do they all use the same registration form?
They all use the same registration form. Okay, you have when you create your account, you log in the system, and there is an online form. You fill it the information and you submit it. It's the same. There is no different form.
Okay, thank you for that clarification as well. Coming back to a more technical question, the SPIS, is it envisioned to be integrated, like one integrated system, or is the SPIS a separate system that interoperates with DAEM for data exchange? DAM? Is it? Okay. I don't know if I pronounce it correctly. Is it DAM or?
It's DAM. Yes.
DAM. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, when we started the ESSN, it was required to build a national social registry within the loan that we get from the World Bank, and we start the DAEM registry as a social registry to be used as a social registry. Fateh, do you want to comment on that?
Yes, so there's a bit of misunderstanding about these concepts. Sometimes people use it interchangeably, but whenever World Bank, let's say, implements, supports government for implementation of a project, usually there is a delivery system component, right? And what we usually do, we run an assessment on the country to understand the existing ID system, other government systems, to understand if, let's say, government can establish a social registry, or maybe the best way to proceed is a beneficiary registry, or sometimes the infrastructure and the context allow you to establish an integrated social registry, and sometimes even you can establish an integrated social protection information system, which basically includes every single step starting from application until the benefits and service delivery. It's a single system with modular approach. So what our analysis indicated that, so the way that the overall system architecture is designed in a way to start with a social registry, which will move into an integrated social protection information system, meaning they'll have the full delivery system, as Maria-Louise mentioned, the full cycle, starting from application, needs assessment, eligibility assessment for multiple programs. Because the DAEM is designed from the very first day is to host multiple social protection programs. Right now, it's running emergency social safety nets, which will be turned into a permanent social safety net in the country with the migration of NPTP. But Maria-Louise also mentioned that there is a social services component, meaning social development centers will provide these social services using DAEM social registry. Then there will be a social services model, an integrated case management model. So what I'm trying to say is, from the first day, the overall system architecture is designed in a way to move into a fully fledged social protection information system. That means it's going to be a single system. There will be no separate system development. There will be no data exchange between two different systems. It's going to be a single system to operate all of these functionalities.
Thank you very much. I think that was very clear. I can see a question related to different systems, maybe in the broader sense, and that is, will the ESSN1 beneficiaries stop receiving assistance, and ESSN2 assistance be for 1 year? I think that, Fatih was mentioning the build-up of a more permanent system, but I guess that's the link I was referring to.
Go ahead, Maria-Louise.
Thank you, Fateh. On the ESSN, we started the ESSN1 for 1 year, and we'll continue additional 1 year, another year, with the ESSN2, meaning that the first batch of people, if you want to, the 93,000 families receiving 1 year will continue for the other year, and we'll add the 75K from the NPTP. They will be receiving 1 year, and also we still have in the pool around 60,000 family that needs to be visited and scored, and this will add up to reach the 60,000 households. So it will be the first part, the ESSN1 for 12 years, an additional 12 years. Did I answer the question?
I think so. Yes. Yeah. Well, I think it was answered. Sorry, I'm just looking again at the remaining questions, because I think we've covered most of them one way or the other. Maybe one last one, because it comes as I think a clarification on the registration one that we addressed earlier on online and in-person registration. So the question was related to social protection programs, and are there different forms of registration for social protection programs? I hope I'm getting that right.
We have, as I mentioned before, the same questionnaire once they visit. We have the only two main programs, social safety net program right now in Lebanon. We have the NPTP and the ESSN. We have the same questionnaire when they go and visit the household. We have the same questionnaire. We have different, on the online registration, there is a form. On the SDC, there's another form, but we use the questionnaire. This is the questionnaire. Once you apply, you submit it, and the information provided by the questionnaire will be submitted and to the score, and will be computed, and will have ranked. Will have the score, and we rank the family.
Okay. All right. I'm just seeing. Okay, one last question that came in new is there an opportunity for humanitarian cash programs to deduplicate against ESSN using the DAEM program?
Yes, exactly. We do the deed application with NPTP also, and the ESSN. Now we are building within a module within the ESSN that can receive whatever data sets and do the duplication with the ESSN. We are doing the deed application with all the data sets. If it comes from humanitarian UN agencies, whatever data that we receive, we can do the deed application.
And maybe just one point to add. So as Marie-Louise mentioned, on top of that, for instance, WFP has an in-kind transfer that they were implementing. And this was also part of the deed application while they were both NPTP and also in-kind. They did for both. But as Marie-Louise mentioned, there will be a permanent solution. It's basically an algorithm using the indicators that we have discussed to deduplicate from any, let's say, any organization. That the company, software development company, is now working on that.
Thank you. I'm also seeing one question here about integration of the World Bank program and the Unified Registry for Social Protection project by the EU, and how that will be integrated to make sure that efforts are not duplicated. Do you want to briefly address that?
I think Fatih replied on this previously, but Fatih, if you want to come in, I'll be more than happy.
Why don't you go ahead, Marie-Louise, and I compliment?
No, that we mentioned that the system was built to have it as the only one social protection system. On the EU, I think they started with a different approach, but I think while discussing, and Fatih can explain more on this, during the discussion, I think the vision now is to build on what we have. Right, Fatih?
Exactly. So there is a bit of misconception and a bit of misunderstanding from the EU side, but I also understand their concerns, because there are programs that EU is financing at Lebanon. And obviously the intention at that time, before the establishment of the DAEM, is to help government to establish a registry, but we proceeded. We supported government with the establishment of the DAEM, and it's the only registry. And the intention with the second edition of financing is to further build on what already exists. So our discussions with the EU is that EU is providing only a technical assistance to help further the development of the DAEM from DAEM Social Registry to DAEM Social Protection Information System.
Thank you. Thanks both for that answer as well. Yeah, so maybe a final look at the discussant, Alex and Dr. Shrivya. Do you want to come in with a final question before we close, or have we covered all your points?
From my side, there's no more questions. I'm now satisfied. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
Yeah, same here, Janina. Thank you so much. I wish Lebanon and Sudan both good luck. Let the registry grow and serve many people. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you both. Well, so before handing over to the closing then, I would like to say a big thank you to our speakers and discussants today for sharing your experiences and insights. I think it was really, really interesting. Also to Fatih for coming in with additional points in the Q&A. And I would also like to extend my thanks to the audience, to all participants on the call for the great engagement. I think this was a really active discussion, lots of questions. Really appreciate that. So I think this was an interesting exchange. And it's now my pleasure to finally hand over to Raul Martin for the closing of this session today. Raul has over 13 years of experience in international development cooperation, and having worked in various organizations, both at headquarters, but also in the field, in Latin America and Africa, and also in the Middle East. And in recent years, he's managed projects for the digitalization of UN RWA education program, among other topics. And since April 24, he's now working as a project manager at FIAP. So Raul, handing over to you, and thank you everyone for your participation and interest.
Thank you so much, Janina. Please confirm, can someone confirm if my sound is okay? Because
Very clear.
Okay,
yes,
perfect. Because I have had some serious technical problems in order to be here, but it seems that everything has been solved. And well, first of all, I would like to thank our great moderator, Janina Vos. So thank you so much, Janina, for doing such an amazing job here and today. And of course, as Janina mentioned, I would like to thank also the presenter and the discussants in this event, Marie-Louise Abou, Alex Michael, and Dr. Shrivias. Excuse me for my pronunciation, maybe it's not quite accurate. And a big thank you for sharing your presentations and your insights here. And I think that we really learned a lot from you. And also, as mentioned also by Janina, thanks also especially to the audience for asking the questions and doing this much interactive session, which I think that is something that is always very good. And the final goal is to share knowledge and keep moving on forward. Okay, and I don't know if we can go. Okay, perfect. Thank you. I would like to inform you that our next interoperability event will be on September 19th, 2024, and it will be focused on Azerbaijan as part of this webinar series. And as you can see here, you have the registration link available in the presentation. You can see in socialprotection.org. And okay, I would like also to do a brief update on the partners and funding, as we have had an addition of implementing partners with funding support from the European Union, in addition to BMSA. And as you can see, besides the EU and the German cooperation, we have also the ISA, the International Labour Organization, the World Bank, expertise funds, and also FIAP as participants. And in order to this, we are also expanding the community with other stakeholders that you can see here in this slide, and among others, international organizations, country representatives, also the private sector, etc. If we can go to the next. Okay, thank you. And also a brief word also on the DCI interoperability standards. As you know, there are 7 standards committee working which are planned to be 7 in social policies. And I will simply would like to notice that we have the CRVS standards committee, which have been released, the first version, and which is endorsed by the USP 2030. And we have also, at the moment, 2 draft standards under review by the standards committee, which are the Social Registry and the Integrated Beneficiary Registry. And if we can go please to the next, okay. And this is a really new and very recent update. We have launched the Digital Transformation Challenge. As you can see here, you have the link to the post in LinkedIn. And what is this challenge all about? Okay, we would like to share your insights on how digital transformation can reshape social protection. And we would like to know, what does digital transformation in social protection mean to you? And how can we ensure that the digital leap forward leaves no one behind? So we really invite you to join this conversation. You can use the hashtags that you see here. And this has been launched today, and we really encourage to all of you to share and to participate in this digital transformation challenge. I would like to remind you also that this session has been recorded and will be available shortly on the DCI website. And also a learning brief will also be shortly available. And also remind that you have all the materials from previous sessions available too. And we would like you to kindly invite you to further interact with the DCI. The contact information is on the website. And as you can see here, sorry, I was going to mention a little bit. You have different forms of participations that you can check here, whether it's sharing existing materials or reviewing outputs or joining group discussions, workshops, etc. And this is all because your inputs really matters to us and to all the community that we are working on digital transformation applied to social policies, right? And if we can go to the next slide, you can see here the different links and access to different ways of participate, whether it's the web or the different social media tools that we are using to participate and to implement this action. And also, please kindly notice that sp.org will provide a link for evaluation of this session, and that we are grateful for any comment and feedback. And finally, a big thank you to all of you. And just saying goodbye wherever you are, and good morning, good afternoon, or good night.